now our fifth story out front. Obama, the skeet shooter. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I mean, if someone is, it isn't me. In an interview with the New York Republic, the president revealed that he can relate to people who enjoy firing guns. When asked if he has ever fired one, he replied, quote, "Yes, in fact, up at Camp David, we do skeet shooting all the time." The reporter followed up, "The whole family?" To which the president replied, "Not the girls, but oftentimes guests of mine go up there, and I have a profound respect for the traditions of hunting that trace back in this country for generations. And I think those who dismiss that out of hand make a big mistake." As our Jessica Yellen found out, though, don't expect to see pictures of the president shooting skeet anytime soon.
Like, how often does the president go skeet shooting, and are there photographs of him doing so?
I would refer you simply to his comments. I don't know how often. He does go to Camp David with some regularity, but I'm not sure how often he's done that.
Is there a photograph of him doing it?
There may be, but I haven't seen it.
Why haven't we heard about it before?
Because when he goes to Camp David, he goes to spend time with his family and friends and relax, not to produce photographs.
We have heard about a lot of recreational activities at Camp David, though. Out front tonight, CNN contributors David Frum and Roland Martin and Republican Tennessee Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn. All right, good to see all of you. All right, Roland, there is some skepticism among conservatives and non-conservatives about the president's frequency of skeet shooting. Mark Knoller from CBS News, you know, he's the sort of unofficial historian of the press corps. He he tells us he's heard of bowling, golfing, hiking, archery, swimming, but not skeet shooting. So now you're going to say you do it all the time. Don't you kind of have to prove it?
No. Okay, seriously, we went through 4 years of this man trying to prove he's an American, trying to prove he's a Christian. Okay, I don't need to see a photo of the president reading a Bible to know he's a Christian. I don't need a photo of his birth certificate. So seriously, and I really don't care. So he doesn't need to show a photo to go, oh, there's the president holding a gun, because I've always thought it was stupid when politicians would run these photos or video of them out wading through the weeds to show everybody, hey, he's a hunter. It's really not that big of a deal, and it's not going to change anybody's mind as it relates to gun control in this country.
Well, that is true, and if that's why he said it, I got to think everyone will agree with you, and it's not going to change their mind on how they feel about guns. Representative Blackburn, do you think this is not a relevant point of conversation?
Well, I think it is a relevant point of conversation. If he is a skeet shooter, why have we not heard of this? Why have we not seen photos? Why has he not referenced it at any point in time? As we have had this gun debate that is ongoing, you would have thought it would have been a point of reference. I tell you what I do think. I think he should invite me to Camp David, and I'll go skeet shooting with him, and I bet I'll beat him.
Well,
I've been trying to play golf with him, Congresswoman. That hasn't happened yet. I don't think you can get that invitation.
You can bet if he's
you know, I've said that I was willing to go, and I'll challenge him to some skeet shooting. It's a great hobby, and I would hope that the president does enjoy it.
David Frum,
I challenge him to hunt birdies, and it hasn't happened, so we'll see.
David Frum, let me ask you, though, because there's something about this as to why the president would say this right now, whether it's true or not true. You know, President Clinton tried to get Democrats in line recently on this issue. He said to donors at a private meeting, I'll quote the president, this was about a week ago, "Do not patronize the passionate supporters of your opponents by looking down your nose at them." Of course, that brought to mind the now infamous comment by then candidate Obama when he talked about people clinging to guns and religion. Do you think this is just the president trying to say, hey, look, I'm a regular guy, I skeet shoot?
Well, look, first, as someone who has missed more clay pigeons than, in fact, virtually all of them.
I've never hit one, and I only went once, so I'm never going again.
I can well imagine why the president wouldn't want photographers there. I wouldn't want them either. But I think the president is, in this case, shooting at the wrong target. The thing that drives the gun debate in this country, really, is it's not about hunting. Hunting is a dwindling activity. At this point, only about 5% of Americans even take out hunting licenses. What drives the gun debate is fear of crime. And what Americans need to know, if they're going to think intelligently about the use of weapons, is how much crime has declined in this country over the past 20 years. People don't, I think, appreciate the magnitude of this drop, and how, if you look at the statistics today, Americans are safer from crime than ever before since good records began, and probably ever before in the entire history of the Republic. If people knew that, that would have an impact. That they do not need firearms to protect themselves. They are safer than ever before. That's the point to drive home. And meanwhile, one last thing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they are risking accident, risk of suicide among their loved ones. That's what the gun debate is about.
All right, Representative Blackburn, but when David Frum's takeaway is we're safer than we've ever been before, you don't need firearms, someone like you, and contradict me if I'm wrong, might say, well, that means we don't really need to pass more gun control legislation.
We don't need to pass gun control legislation, and the assault weapons ban did not work. That is why it was not extended in 2004. And what individuals want is their freedom. They want the Second Amendment respected, and they want to make certain that we understand that.
All right, assault weapons ban, putting that aside for a moment, and I know the numbers we've seen, 2 to 8% of gun violence happens on the assault weapons ban. It is not the #1 culprit, handguns are. But would you support universal background checks? Would you support any change at all?
You know, the only time a background check does not happen is when an individual transfers to another individual, like family to family. Most people at the gun shows, though, are licensed dealers, and they are going through a background check. So the background checks, those work, and they root out people. What I want to see is when you find someone, a felon, who has tried to buy a gun, I want to see that person prosecuted, and I want to see the laws that we have on the book followed.
So, Roland, when you hear Representative Blackburn, do you think we're not going to get anywhere with an assault weapons ban or any sort of other legislation?
Actually, what I hear is somebody who refuses to even budge an inch because, again, how hard is it to simply say, sure, why can't we have universal background checks? Okay, even if you're selling the weapon to a family member or someone else, why can't you still do that? And so that should be a straightforward, easy answer. But if you're unwilling to budge, and look, I get from being from Tennessee and Georgia, I'm from Texas, but my goodness, even universal background checks, how hard is that?
In a word, and we have 5 seconds.
Background checks are important, and we also need to make certain that we are checking mental health. So that's going to be a part of this issue.
But you would support a universal background check?
Background checks I support.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate all three of you taking the time. And now